Live from Darfeasy Studios in Eddyville, Kentucky. It's time for another episode of the evolution of Survivor Strategy. As Zeke says, this is the new evolution of Survivor. We got Millennials versus Gen X, a very exciting season. A 10-person or an 8-person rock jaw. Or 6, I think. Anyways, it's a great season, gotta talk about. Your host, Darfeasy. Hello, Easy Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Evolution Survivor Strategy. This episode might be a mistake doing it tonight because I got the vaccine shot, so I'm a little today I'm kind of especially the last hour or so I've kind of felt like crap. I have the chills right now, but you know what? Just because you're going through a cyclone doesn't mean you can't talk about Survivor. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this episode. That way I can start Game Changers tomorrow. So guys, this is another episode of the Evolution Survivor Strategy. This is chapter 30. 30? Yeah, 33. Survivor Millennials versus Gen X. So, Millennials, you have, I'm a Millennial. And it's, it's an age group between, I don't know. Hold on. I got to Google it now. I had to Google it. That just shows my dedication. So, Gen X are people born between 1963 and 1982, and Millennials are born between 1984 and 1997. So, I'm a Millennial, and, I found this season awesome. Like, I thought this has been... like I said, this has been a passion project of mine because I love Survivor. Survivor is one of my favorite TV shows. I mean, I've been watching it ever since. I would say I've been watching it since Richard Hatch was sitting in a tree, but I've really been watching it since Africa. And I love the continuing evolution. Sometimes I like the evolution, sometimes I don't like the evolution. I'll talk all about that and more. So, first off, what I really liked about this season, sometimes 20 people casts are a little overwhelming. And I think this season is one of, I think, of all the seasons I've watched so far. I mean, I don't know. I would have to think about it. But this is one of my favorite casts. And one of the main reasons is because we don't have many GOATs in this season. Everybody comes to play. Like, there might be some GOATs at the beginning of the game, but really, I don't even think there was. I mean, think of, people like Mari and Paul, who kind of were ready to play the game, and Paul said, I have to have control, I gotta have control. And then, I think everybody came to play, even Sunday, who they called her a GOAT. She wanted to make a big move. She wanted to take out Jessica, and she wanted to make these big Survivor moves. So, it's a very interesting season, because this is one of the seasons where people actually came to play. And first of all, I like this season being divided into Millennials versus Gen X because they've done the age thing before. We did this in Survivor Nicaragua, and I mean, I didn't care for it when they did that, but for some reason, it's, Survivor always comes down to one thing, and I've said it once, and I'll say it again. It's casting. And there's so many transforming characters, and this season made me cry a bunch of times, and I'll get to that towards the end of this episode. And it's more personal reasons for me why I tear up when I watch this season, because I didn't cry when I first watched the season, but gone through some personal things since I first watched Millennials versus Gen X. So, the tribes are divided. You have David Wright. He's on the bottom of his tribe. He's a weak little guy. He's scared. He said he was always scared of death, which really became a scared of life. And David, he played like a balls deep, crazy, incredible Survivor game. I mean, finding idols. Find the idol. And it takes a lot of balls. It takes a lot of guts to play an idol for someone else. And, the great Survivor players are able to do that. And I totally believe David, he uses that idol. He knows the votes are going on Jessica. We can get this number. We can get the power on this alliance. We can take control of this game, Ken. We can take it over. And he plays that idol for Jessica. All the votes go to Jessica. They get rid of, I forget what the one girl's name. So, okay, maybe that was one of the guts. But even then, she was that's the one person I would say now, if I'm thinking about it, is pretty forgettable. And you're like, that was okay, so, interesting. And then we go to tribe mix up. We go from 2 tribes to 3 tribes, and it's one of those characters I love seeing this season was Michaela, because Michaela is known for she great player, and I'll talk a lot more about Michaela next season when I get to Game Changers. But she kind of poses herself as this big threat, but she was such a dominant physical force, and she had some. She had some great one-liners. I mean, she's just an awesome Survivor player that I really love this season. So yeah, it was fun watching a player like Michaela play, and the moment whenever she has it like a football play, and she's like, it doesn't matter who we take out, as long as our numbers are good, we'll go to the final 4. And the blind side of Michaela is one of the great Survivor last where she sees the 3rd votes and she's like, what? And then she's so mad she's hitting buys and just a great memorable character. And then we also have 3 hidden immunity idols. We have we have Adam find the 1 idol, we have David find the 2nd idol, and we have Jay find that 3rd idol. And so then we get to the merge, and first off, it looks like, okay, we have this cool little cliquey, popular club of the Millenials. You have what was that guy's name? Taylor and Michelle. They get picked off pretty quickly. And also, there's this new advantage in this. There's 2 new advantages in the game. I'll get to the second one. The first advantage is the steal a reward, and I thought it was a very interesting idea because that's something I would probably find and then probably leverage it to somebody. Maybe it's just well, I don't know. I mean, here, take this. I don't really want it. I mean, or maybe I would just hold on to that and just at the final tribal council say, I found this advantage, I didn't use it, and just to add it to your resume. I think that's probably how I would use the steal or reward. So, yeah, and so once we get past the first 2 votes, then the season gets very interesting. So we have David versus Chris. They both want to take each other out. Well, Chris wants to take out Jessica for how he burned Paulie in the first half of the game, and David is able to convince Seek. And the interesting thing about this game, and I love the term they bring up this season, it's the trust clusters. And that's the thing when I talked about the last episode of Evolution of Strategy. We talked about Korong, which was actually recorded before Survivor Cambodia. So all the strategies that we see in Cambodia did not affect Korong. But in Survivors, Millennial vs. Gen X, they've seen Cambodia. They've seen the voting blocks. They've seen how that strategy works. So the idea of use the voting blocks, but then we have this thing called trust clusters. And trust clusters, the basic summary of a trust cluster is you have voting blocks, people that line up for votes for different tribals, and then you realign each new tribal council. Hannah came up with the trust clusters, where it is somebody you're not really an alliance with, but you have that trust, and it is on the bridge of an alliance. So I thought the trust cluster idea was a very interesting. I don't think it's the thing that's actually stuck. I think the voting blocks has stuck more than the trust clusters has. But, the evolution of Survivor is what we're here to talk about. And then, the final 10, where Hannah decides Seek needs to go. And Seek I just realized I gotta play without David. I gotta play without Hannah. And they build their numbers up. You have 5 people against 5. We know where this is going. A rock draw. There's a reason why rock draws do not happen in Survivor. And it's because nobody wants to draw a rock to end their game. And I thought this season was, I thought it was a ballsy move. I mean, it's a great move. And, Jessica gets rocked out. And, it's sad for Jessica because I really like Jessica. I would love to see Jessica play another season. But she defends it in the reunion. She says, Adam drew the same rock and won the game. So you never know. It's just sometimes you gotta go all in, and that's the way I like Prope's analysis and his analogy of it. It's basically you're playing poker and you have to go all in. It's like when Tyson did it in Survivor Blood versus Water. It's either he draws a rock or he goes home. And if he draws a rock, if he draws a rock, he goes to Redemption Island. Okay. But if he does draw the rock, he's still in a great position. But if he doesn't draw the rock, he's screwed. Because if he doesn't, he sends Monica out, and then they have the advantage in the game. And that's the same way with here. So, yes, there's some crazy blindsides in this season. Like, whenever Jessica gets blindsided by the rocks, and then Will turns and goes with the other alliance, and then he gets blindsided in the next move. So every time someone was labeled as the big threat. And, there's some very good game players this season. And, you have people like Chris. I thought Chris was probably very underrated. He was in the season a lot, but, he's not the main force of the season. Then you have characters like, I can't remember. And then you have players like Zeke. I think Zeke played a very good game. Zeke gets a little carried away with himself. Sometimes you gotta play a little reserved, and you have to play a little more like Adam played. Most people don't like Adam, and it has a lot to do with the thing with his mom. But be honest with you, when we got to that point, I felt like Adam played the best game of the three people that was still around. Hannah plays a very sporadic game. A person who struggled, who had a anxiety attack, just watching the players, watching the challenge. I mean, that's a great moment. Brett, who plays a very good social game, has that beautiful moment with him and Zeke. I mean, just a great moment. I love Brett. Would love to see him come back. I watched that season of Amazing Race with him and Chris. Would love to see them two come back for another season of Survivor. And then, like I said, Hannah was great. And then talk about Adam. Adam, most people don't like Adam. Most people feel like David should have won the season. But, you have to make it to day 39. And I love it when David tells Adam, he says, if I was you, I would try to convince Ken to turn on Hannah and what you two. He's like, no. He said, there's no difference for me between fourth and third place. Either you go out tonight or I lose. And I love the strategy. I mean, it's kind of a millennial kind of Survivor strategy, and it's a very new Survivor strategy, because the old strategy of Survivor would be I just need to get it one more day. But players like him, and we'll see with another player in Survivor Edge of Extinction, sometimes you have to go all in and risk it all and try to win the game. And, the moment with, and also Jay, almost forgot about Jay. There's that beautiful relationship between, it's one of the storylines that I always go back to when I watch this season. And him and Adam, they were brothers, they hated each other, but then they love each other. And, whenever Adam opens up about his mom, and he said he's not a weasel anymore. He's a good freaking dude. He's a warrior. And, it was such a beautiful moment. And, like I said, when I watched Survivor Millenials vs. Gen X the first time, I hadn't gone through some personal stuff with my own mom. And be honest with you, man, it's just, this episode, the finale, it killed me. I was crying my eyes out because, I miss my mom. And so I completely understand where Adam's coming from. And I don't believe he uses his mom's death as a sympathy, because the players aren't bitter. If they were bitter, they would have given Adam the win. They would have given the vote to Ken. We see this all the time in Big Brother. Big Brother is known for the most bitter juries of all time. But this was the most unbitterest jury. I think they played based off strategy. Adam made some good moves in this season, and Adam totally deserved to win this season. I know some people may not agree with that, but I do think Adam played the best game of the three players. And Ken, played a very old school Survivor strategy. And Adam said, if he played in Survivor Borneo, Ken probably wins, because he kind of played a Kobe Donaldson kind of Survivor strategy. Kobe Donaldson's strategy didn't work in Survivor Australia, and it doesn't work in Survivor Millennials versus Gen X. So Adam, all props to him, and it was a beautiful season. One of my favorite seasons I've watched so far. So guys, that ends this episode of the Evolution of Survivor Strategy. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. My brain was a little scrambled, but I got through it, and I'm looking forward to talking about Game Changers. There's a lot of negative buzz around the season, because I've seen it before, but there are moments now I think back on and I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't as good as I first thought, because I always love All-Star seasons, and I think it's considered like one of the best All-Star seasons, or one of the worst All-Star seasons. Sorry. So, guys, that is this episode of Evolution Strategy. Guys, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button, subscribe, see more, tell your friends about Easy Nation. Until next time, all too easy.